Hey guys, watch how easily we created these veins in this beautiful marble finish. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. I'm Rhonda Draculis with RK3 Designs, and Keith from KCDC Designs is going to help me show you guys how to create really simple veins. All right, so what we're gonna do to get started is we're gonna create a background for our design. And what we're doing with this is we're gonna start off with our epoxy undercoating. We're gonna start off with white and black. We're gonna use just a little bit of that black to create a very, very soft gray. Now, this is our stone coat countertop undercoating. We do, if you've noticed, have a new label. And this is just an old can, but both of the cans now have new labels, but it's the same great product. So what's gonna happen is Keith has actually no idea what he's getting himself into. I just put a roller in his hand and said, follow me. So he's gonna start off by laying down quite a bit of our white undercoating. Now you can also do this with latex paint. You can do it with acrylic paint, because all we're doing right now is creating a background. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is Keith's gonna grab a roller, and we're just using 1/4" nap rollers. You can use just about anything that you want, because we're not really worried about texture at this point. Okay, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back in with our black, a tiny bit on a brush, and we're gonna very strategically lay those veins down.
Ready?
Yep. All right, so what we're gonna start doing first is lay down the material very thick. I'm not really worried about how much coverage, because we already have a white undercoating, so you don't have to worry about making it pretty. Just put paint down.
It's down.
All right, so as he starts to lay down the paint, I'm gonna come back with a little bit of black on my paintbrush, and then I'm gonna literally mold this in and meld it in, I guess I should say, not mold. And what I'm gonna do is just create a very, very soft gray background. You can even kind of get, there we go. I want it to be just a little bit of gray. If you would do me a favor here,
Yes,
Mr. Keith, give me a little bit of white right here. Just, yep. So if it gets too dark on you, all you have to do is add a little bit of white in there to soften that up. Remember, this is only background, so you don't really want harsh lines. You just want very soft, and that's what I'm doing here. Okay, I love this. All right, very good.
And will you do the same thing on the rock edge?
Yes, we'll add a little bit on the rock edge.
Okay.
Now, if you want less gray, you want more of a white background, then definitely add less of that black. And I'm not left-handed, so having a little tough go here. So those of you that don't know, I was in a car accident, I fractured my arm, but we're good. So good thing I can do a little bit with my left hand.
That looks really cool.
Okay, so I really love this. Let's go get a little bit on the front edge. Just gonna add just a tiny bit on my front edge. Now, you can go do one step kind of past this. If you want to create veins and then really make them soft as you kind of create an illusion that there's already just a little bit of shadowing, you can take your paintbrush, make sure you pulled most of your paint off, and then very lightly kind of add a vein in here. So you're just gonna kind of bring that color down, and it's all gonna depend on how many veins that you are gonna want in your finish. We're gonna do a very soft design, and we're not gonna have a whole lot of veins. I'm gonna come in with a dry brush now, and very lightly, I'm gonna kind of bury that vein so that it's super, super soft. If you want it to be a little more pronounced, by all means. Remember, this is just under painting with just a little bit of that shadows. And again, I'm trying to get very, very soft veins. All right, so we're gonna let this dry a couple of hours. Make sure our paint's really dry. Then we're gonna go to the next step. All right, we'll see you in a minute. Guys, this is such an easy technique. It's great for beginners. Not that Keith's a beginner.
Oh,
But I'm
yeah.
going to give him a paintbrush, and I'm going to let him play for just a second, okay? All right, so Keith, remember, less is best.
With the camera rolling?
With the camera rolling. All right, less is best. Remember, if you may want to, this is getting kind of dry, you may want to pick up a little bit and then offload it. What we're doing is we're putting paint on our brush, and then we're kind of offloading it a little bit so it doesn't get too
I'm
saturated.
going to set one about ready.
Not like that, Keith. No.
I knew that was coming.
Perfect, beautiful. Now you're gonna kind of cross hatch that over the top and just fade it in. All right, now offload your brush just a little bit. So if your brush starts picking up a little bit too much of that black paint, you can offload it. You wanna offload it a little bit? Offload it, that way as you continue to crisscross, you're not really making that line more because you're picking up that black paint. All right, looks good.
I like it.
Can I give you a suggestion?
Wait, please.
All right, so we have a little bit of brush strokes, a little bit more than I would like to see, and also this is a very cheap brush. If you get a really soft brush, it's much easier. But what we're gonna do in some of these really hard lines that you see, we're just gonna kind of rub those out so that we have just a little bit less of those brush strokes, and that way we can make our vein be kind of the focal point. All right, looks good. All right, good job. I really like that. I like that being a little bit darker. That's good. That is very pretty. I think you did a great job. See, guys? He's never done this before, and he just did it. If your paint starts getting really dry, you can mist it with a little bit of water, especially if you're using a latex paint, and that will kind of reactivate that paint and let you be able to meld it just a little easier. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry, and we'll be right back. Good job there, dude. All right, so after the camera cut off, we decided that we want this darker vein to be a little softer. So I'm just coming in basically with a roller that we haven't been using. It's kind of started to dry up a little bit. And we're gonna very lightly roll over that vein just to create a little undertone. And we kind of soften that out. So now we've kind of softened that out. And because our paint brush or our paint roller is starting to dry, it's just barely taking any of that color off. All right, so remember, this is just background noise. All right, now we're gonna let it dry, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so our base is dry, and now comes the really fun part where we get to get really creative. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do first is start off with some of our Alumilite dye mixed with 91% isopropyl alcohol. And what we're doing is we're creating a dye. Unlike alcohol inks that will fade over time in epoxy, these dyes mixed with alcohol will not fade. So that's why we use them in epoxy. So I'm doing a warm gray, which is going to be just 1 or 2 drops of black and a little bit of a blue mixed in with some isopropyl alcohol. And then we're gonna come in with a product that we actually sell on our website, Resin Art, and we've mixed it with a little bit of the alcohol as well. And this is gonna have a little bit of a bluish hint and a little bit of a bling. All right, so here we go.
You lay down the first vein. I'll watch.
Good idea.
Then I'll go from there.
Here we go. All right, so I have a very, very fine tipped bottle. I got these on Amazon, and I'll put a link to these in our description. So the reason I want to do a very fine tip is because I want to be able to have good control. Now I'm going to let that kind of run over that front edge, and then as I squeeze, I'm going to kind of twist my bottle and kind of get kind of a fun little vein. All right, now I'm not going exactly over the shadow vein that I made earlier, but just a little bit. Now I'm coming in here with a paintbrush, and I have plain alcohol. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just start coming in here and just very lightly kind of rub that vein down. And then start blotting off my alcohol so that I get lighter and lighter as I go. So as I kind of drag this, you can see that I'm kind of making the vein a little bit lighter. Now, what you can also do is come in here with a little bigger brush with just some clear, and then just kind of fade that out. Now, because I did not go over my surface with any sort of epoxy, so I have a really slick surface, the alcohol is going to kind of seep down into this paint. Now, if you've noticed some of our other finishes, when we do the alcohol painting, we start off with a substrate that actually has a little bit of epoxy on top so that it doesn't stain. Now, this is not going to be quite as forgiving because, like I said, we're going straight over that paint. Now, if you are worried about doing this and not being able to pull any of that color off, you could absolutely flood your base with just a clear epoxy. That way, when you get started, you'll have a little bit more of a slick finish. But I kind of like this, the way it's kind of staining, because it's staying and it's going to give us some really cool colors. All right, so don't overthink this. I'm just coming in and doing a lot of my painting with just the white. And you notice how I'm doing it just on one side. If I were to do it on both sides of the vein, then I would not have my distinct line. So I have my vein, it's very distinct on one side, and then I'm kind of blending out that color with my other side. Yeah, so it's kind of, it's almost like making a little shadow. So I come in again with my wet brush. Remember, this alcohol kind of reconstitutes it a little bit. And you know, and it's no big deal, guys. You can kind of play with this however you want.
So if you're going to do multiple colors, would you do that now, or would you wait until you get that out and then add a second color?
Yes, if I were going to do multiple colors, I would probably add those colors right now.
In the beginning before you brush it out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, by keeping a wet edge on that brush, see how I'm starting to make little side veins?
Yeah.
So you
that's
see how
very cool.
Here's the brush. It's wet. Now see how it's keeping that one side, giving me a very distinct line? That's how I can create my vein to have a little bit more distinction. All right, now this brush was just clear alcohol. So now I'm just going to kind of come out here and make it very soft. And this just kind of blends all the color out. You can erase anything if you need to. Now I like this vein because it's kind of in the middle of the piece. So it's going to kind of be our focal point. All right? Okay. You ready, sir?
Sure.
Let's do this.
Keith can do this.
All right, we
now,
can
do you want to use just one color, or do you want to add a second one to this one?
That's up to you. What do you want to do?
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to let you make that decision.
I'll decide as I go on here.
All right.
How about, let's go, I'm going to keep the flow going the same way.
Okay.
So let's start out here.
There you go. Good.
Good. And then I'm going to branch one off. Let's go.
All right.
Off that way. Is that what you would do?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Jersey says that's exactly what I would do.
Now this is the resin art, so it's actually not a mica powder. It's almost, I always say it's like a freeze-dried product because the micas are it's almost like a dry paste, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, I crossed over that, didn't I?
Yeah, that looks good. Now you hit your finger in that, so do something. Oh, you know what? Leave it alone. I'll show you how to fix that. Yep, sure. So get a little bit of alcohol on here and then kind of offload it on your side. Okay, now remember, whoop, you're going to want to leave that top edge alone, okay?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to stand over here.
No, I need you to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, good. All right. And sometimes you can turn your brush so it's a little skinnier. Perfect. All right, now offload your brush so that you take all that color off, okay? Okay, good. Pick you up a little clear. All right, and let's do this middle part now. There you go.
I'll pick up just a little bit of that blue.
Yeah,
oh,
ooh,
yeah.
that's pretty. Yeah, I
Add a
like
little
that.
extra vein to that.
Oh, I love that. Now what he's going to do, now that he has his color where he wants it, now you're going to come in with the big brush, All right, just straight alcohol, and you're gonna just start very lightly feathering that out. So don't start right next to the blue, kind of start, there you go, and then just start building there. As you barely touch that edge, it's gonna soften and bring it down. There you go. Good.
And that kind of reactivates it.
Mm-hmm. And then clean off your brush before you make another pass. Here's your clean one. You got it? All right. So you just want to keep cleaning that brush as you get farther away from the actual
on the
vein.
brush?
Yep.
Little alcohol brush?
At this point, alcohol is what's going to kind of make it very soft.
And help activate that.
Exactly.
And roll it out a little bit.
Exactly. Now, let me show you something really quick.
Okay.
You kind of hit this little area right here. So all I'm going to do is come in and kind of erase that.
Wow, it's a magic
Okay.
eraser.
Yeah, it's kind of a magic eraser. All right, cool. Oh, right here. I'm just going to get that real quick. Just kind of really see how you can kind of blur that line a little bit.
Oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, there. Okay, cool.
Oh, like that.
All right. I think I've created a monster. Now you want to be really careful going back
Not to go back and forth because I'm picking up color.
Right, because you're picking up color in that brush. So every time you come down, you want to clean your brush with that clear alcohol, and then it'll get softer and softer as you move away from your vein. There you go. Look at you. Remember how we talked about bringing in some more detailed lines?
Yes.
Let's bring in some more detailed lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take our brush and just a little bit, we're going to kind of wet it, clean it off, and then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to pick up and create a very distinct line on the top.
Oh, wow.
And now we're creating another vein. See that?
Yep.
So now the top was a brand new vein. All right, so I'm going to come in here and do maybe the same thing just to give that a little bit of distinction there.
That gives it a lot more character.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now we can let me see your big brush. We can come in here and soften this out.
And get some of the brush strokes out.
Mm-hmm. And get some of the brush strokes out. There we go. All right, Keith, that's beautiful. I love that. All right.
I would get one little bit of distinction right
Okay.
in there.
And I think with maybe a little bit of the brown, we can bring in the brown. So I'm going to put a little bit of brown on this table and load up my brush just a little bit. What's really fun about this is that you can keep activating your colors. The main thing to remember is if you feel like you're getting too muddled, clean your brush. That is the game changer, is keep your brush clean.
And if you get too much color end up in your clear alcohol.
Yep, you're going to need to replace your
you
clear
don't pick
alcohol.
some of that up.
Yeah. So, all right. Kind of clean it up a little bit. And then just rub it out. All right, cool.
Very cool.
All right, what y'all think? You like that?
I like that.
Okay.
Our little thumbnail right there.
Yeah, we're going to do something with that.
see.
Mitch. Keith, what you want to do with that?
Well, I'm going to see if I can just tail that out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Beautiful.
There.
Now,
Kind of
you're...
got rid of our little thumbnail.
Yeah, and you're actually...
Oh, yes?
No, you're good. You're actually going to do this, what you're doing. I'm going to kind of bring these two together to kind of get some very, very soft veins.
Okay.
All right, so as soon as you finish that, it's going to have just enough color on there for me.
I want to get a little bit of a ridge line.
There you go. Now
you
you
go.
can bring in your big brush, and you
Soften
can
that a
soften
little
that
bit.
right there. I wouldn't put a whole lot of
Oh,
alcohol.
I just put a dab on there.
Just a little bit. There you go. Look at you. Woohoo! All right.
Okay.
Okay, so now let me see. I'm going to wet this brush. And now this is a little round brush. And it's got a little, it kind of goes to a tip, unlike the flat I was using. So this is going to let me come in here and get a little more. Ooh, this has some blue on it. That's pretty. This will give me a little bit more distinction with my vein. So I'm going to put a little bit of that color on the table. Now what I'm trying to do is kind of make it so we don't have lines. I'm going to kind of bring in very, very lightly. We can always go back. I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to kind of roll it a little bit. And be very light and bring it in. All right, and then we can bring in a little bit of the blue. Bring that in. And then come in with our big brush and soften that out. Just because we want this to be a very, very light.
Light, but you still get that kind of that distinction.
Right, and we're getting it because
that kind of the hard line, so to speak.
Exactly, and we're getting that because we're coming back in with our wet big brush, and we're just feathering all of this out. Okay, we are done playing. The alcohol dries very, very quickly. Now, if you do this and you notice that it looks like you just have some of the dye that just doesn't want to dry, a lot of time what happens is your dyes may be a little bit too concentrated. So what you can do is just come back with a paper towel and very, very lightly just blot until everything is dry. After that, you don't want to go straight over this now with epoxy because it could reactivate your alcohol and you could get a very muddled, blurry vein. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over with the Krylon UV Archival Spray. Now, this is getting to be a little bit hard to find. You can get it on Amazon. Hobby Lobby sells it quite a bit. If you can't find the archival spray, you can still use either the Krylon brand Clear Matte or the Rust-Oleum Clear Matte. It has to be matte. The gloss has a little bit too much alcohol and it will actually reactivate your alcohol as well that's on the table. Once you spray, you're going to want to let that dry probably a good 2 hours, and then we'll go back over the top with our epoxy. All right, so Keith, take it away.
Okay. And one thing I've learned about using this is do not put on heavy coats. You don't need heavy coats. All you're looking to do is basically seal down your alcohol dyes. So Rhonda, what do you use? I usually use about 3 coats depending on how it goes. Same thing?
Sounds good.
Okay. Make sure you wear a respirator when using this. Turn on your exhaust fans. Stuff stinks.
Alrighty, so we've split our epoxy up into different amounts. Honestly, we have a total of 36.
36 ounces.
Okay, I have a total of 36. So now we have 20 ounces of our bigger bucket. What is this one?
Pretty much 12, 3, and 1. So we have 20, 12, 3, and 1.
All right, got that? All right, so let's add to our little cup. We're going to add some diamond dust, and we're going to kind of use that diamond dust as an accent. All right, we're going to come in here with some Just Resin Titanium White, and we're going to create a very opaque white. And opaque meaning we can't see through it to the grain of our stick.
Kind of like whole milk.
Kind of like whole milk. So we are creating whole milk here. Now, what I like to do to create depth in our finish is create some what I call skim milk. So we're going to take our stick, we're going to stir in, oh perfect. Now we've created skim milk, all right? Because this is going to allow our undertones to show through. Then we're going to have just our clear. So if you wanted to up your bling game on this piece, you could bring in some diamond dust in your bucket of clear. I want to keep my bling to a minimum. That's why I put it in this smaller cup, and we're gonna actually add it to the little veins once we get our top coat put on. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Okay, so by adding different opacities of our epoxy, you're gonna be able to see different amounts of our veins kind of poke through, and that's kind of what I'm going for. I don't want all of this to be super vivid. I want it to kind of blend really cool. All right, so we're gonna start off with our cup of skim milk. All right, Keith, just kind of lay it down very random.
Okay.
And then we'll come back. All right, then I'm gonna come back over here with our clear. I could have even probably made that skim milk just a little more.
More skimmy?
No, more whole milk. We could have made it a little more opaque, but this will work out. All right, now let's go ahead and get a good skim coat on this, but we're just gonna kind of spread this out.
Just get the board covered.
Yeah, we're just kind of getting that board covered, because when I come down here with my whole milk, I don't want that whole milk to stick. I want it to move really well. So if I went straight on the board without having a little bit of epoxy on there first, my white would really stay hard in that area, which is really good on some sort of finishes that we do. I just want this white to move, and I want to have a little bit more control of where I put this white opaque, because I don't want it to cover all my really pretty veins. All right, here we go. Now I'm just going to start kind of dropping that white opaque down. It'll be able to go over some of that.
Oh, look at that
and
depth in there.
Just kind of create that meld over. Oh, wow. I love
just milking that in?
Just barely hitting it. In some areas, we can actually have a little bit more of that white.
Ooh, wow.
Maybe right here. Maybe come up here a little bit. All right. Now, as we meld that in, we can still control how much of that opaqueness we want in one area. A little bit more.
The white almost looks like it's sitting layers and layers above our, even what we painted in the very beginning.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to create. Oops, with this booger right here. Over this big main vein, I wanted to kind of hide it a little bit. So it's just not really jumping out at us.
Man, you guys can't see this, but that initial paint we put down with the roller and the brush, it's crazy how it looks like it is so deep down in there.
And that's why I really wasn't worried about making it perfect.
Right.
Because we're burying that. So that's what we're doing, is recreating those really cool. Actually, I was gonna heat this up, but I don't wanna heat it because I don't want it to move a whole lot when we tilt.
That away?
We're just gonna tilt it a little bit. Just enough to get these lines on top to kind of move very organically. Oh my gosh.
It is moving really
very
slow.
slow. You want it to move very slow. Just enough to kind of create that illusion of movement. Oh wow, love it. Okay.
Very cool.
Cool. Okay. If you'll torch that for me.
Get some bubbles out of there.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing.
Now.
That is amazing.
That is way, way cool. All right, so now we get to have fun.
There's more?
So, there's more.
Imagine that.
This could be a finish all on its own. But guess what? We're going to go to the next step. All right, remember that little bit of diamond dust we kept back? Let me show you, people. This is going to get fun. All right, so I'm going to come in here with my diamond dust. Now, I would suggest, and if we had time on this video, I would actually wait about 20 minutes before I did this for two reasons. The movement on my top will have slowed down just a little bit. Plus, because I'm leaving this amount in a cup, and we know that when you leave resin in a cup, that exothermic reaction starts to happen, and it can get very thick very quick. But I kind of want this to get thick a little bit so that when I lay my vein down, it'll stay a little more distinct. But we're going to go ahead and do it right now, but know that you can wait for a little while. All right, I don't want to have a ton of bling. Did I just say that?
She did. I heard it. I heard it.
Check my temperature.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm just gonna run this down. Oh,
Wow.
oh my goodness. Now, this just took it over the top. So this little bit
You want to go to the next level, you just did.
we just did.
Candy's gonna be made in news halo.
Oh, well. All right, so I'm just kind of coming, and what's happening is these clear veins with this diamond dust, that diamond dust is kind of sinking down and looking like a natural fracture line or a fault line, but it's just given a 3D look that is absolutely amazing. You want to play?
And because our colors are so translucent, with the exception of that white, you're not going to lose that diamond dust.
Right.
As it might if you were using opaque colors, that it may sink down into that.
Exactly.
That's going to stay there.
Yeah, so we don't want to use
Wow.
any heat after this, because remember, if we use heat, we're going to open up and make our epoxy a little more fluid, and it's not going to be fun. Now, I'm not dragging the stick through here. I'm just drizzling.
Got to get some over that edge.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow, this is so pretty. Really, really pretty.
Well, take that back.
What?
Had to drag just a little bit. Add a little drop. A little drip drop.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come in here with some white opaque, and I'm going to create some very subtle fault lines really quickly. I'm just going to kind of go over that really fast.
Now the advantage of doing that early is that they do become very,
Yes.
very faint and don't remain on top or stay on top.
Right, exactly. Now, if you have some little drips that you don't like, you can definitely drag your stick. All right. Get this out a little bit. Okay, and then you can even come to a point, guys, if you wanted to accent a little bit, you can come in and drag that white over that vein, which would be really pretty, but understand that that's still going to move, so it's not going to stay super detailed. All right, I like that. Okay, now I'm going to do one more thing, and then we are walking away. Let's
No
grab,
way.
yes, let's grab the plain alcohol.
Ooh.
And what that's going to do, it's just going to give us a little bit of texture on that white opaque that we just did on the surface.
Right.
And those veins. All right, now, wow, I love it. I love how this gave that almost that granite effect over the top of the vein. It's just added more depth. I love it.
Remember that skim milk of how translucent that was? The alcohol actually makes that show up.
Yeah, it pops it.
Really cool.
Okay, guys, we're walking away. We're walking away.
We're walking away.
Step back. Step back away. We're done.
We're walking away.
And it was actually pretty easy, right? Once
Very
you got the
easy.
hang of
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
yeah.
All right, guys. If you like this video and you think we kind of, pulled a line,
Knock this
what
one
do
out
you
of the park.
think? Give us a thumbs up, share this video, and subscribe to our channel, guys. We're going to hit 100,000 very soon, and I'm going to just put it out into the world right now. If we hit 100,000, I am going to buy my videographer, Tyler, a new pair of Lucchese boots. So help Tyler get his boots by getting us to 100K. All right, guys, all of these products are available on our website, rk3designs.com. Visit us, and remember, don't be scared. Move forward
And
and
be
be
creative.
creative. See you next week.
Thanks, everybody.